Brendan Gulick with Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. This is the Buckeye Report on an absolutely gorgeous Friday night in Columbus over at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, where the Ohio State Buckeyes are glad to have had a little bit of maybe extra rest and relaxation this weekend to let their bodies recover after a tough physical game to open the season at Minnesota. And what a game that was, as the Buckeyes opened the season with a thrilling victory. Certainly had a few moments of frustration, but certainly some flashes of really exciting, high-powered offense as well. Let's get you caught up on a couple of news headlines for today, both pertaining to yesterday's game and certainly looking ahead as well. We'll start with the fact that last night 6.3 million viewers watched the game on Fox. It was the most watched Week 1 game ever for a regular season game on Fox's network. Also the 10th most watched regular season game period on Fox's network. And it ranked third most streamed regular season college football game in Fox Sports history. A lot of eyeballs watching the Buckeyes in that Week 1 opener against Minnesota. 45-31, a great final last night. Looking ahead, the Ohio State Department of Athletics is going to host on Tuesday, some media members to share some information, and we will certainly then share with you Tuesday morning at 9:30 some of the information that you need to know about the upcoming season if you're planning on coming to games at Ohio Stadium. We'll have lots of information about protocol changes, some of the technology that fans can tap into when they're at the stadium, and what your campus experience is going to be like. Of course, the first home football game of the season coming up on Saturday, September 11th, so an appropriate time to try to distribute some of that information. Again, Tuesday morning, we'll have plenty of coverage for you on that information here on Buckeyes Now. Let's talk a little bit about last night's game for a moment and reference the players of the game. The Buckeyes deemed the offensive players of the game to two different guys, co-honors this week, and it was fairly easy to pick Mayan Williams, who had a fantastic showing, including that big breaking run up the right sideline, 70-yard touchdown run for him in his first start as a redshirt freshman. Mayan finished the game 9 carries, 125 yards, and a score. He shares the offensive player of the game honor with Chris Olave, who had a great effort, including a couple of touchdowns there in the second half. Olave, 4 catches for 117 and 2 touchdowns. Defensive player of the game, Zach Harrison. Zach had a strip sack. Obviously, that was a big turning point in the game with that big forced fumble. Of course, Haskell Garrett picked it up and ran it into the end zone for his second career touchdown. Zach Harrison also had 3 tackles on the night, so he gets Defensive Player of the Game honors. And the Buckeyes are recognizing Mitch Rossi, who plays tight end, as the Special Teams Player of the Game from last night. So congratulations to Mayan Williams, Chris Olave, Zach Harrison, and Joe Rossi. They are this week's Players of the Game. Buckeyes got back pretty late last night, as you would imagine when you play a 7 o'clock local time, 8 o'clock Eastern time game. That means a late night flight home, and so perhaps they need this extra couple of days to try to get their bodies back right and get ready for what should be a really tough game this upcoming weekend with Oregon. Sounds like most of the players got home at 3 o'clock or later this morning, so I assume today was a day where try to exhale a little bit, get some treatment, and get your feet back underneath you. I'm not sure there's a game that you'll play at any point all season long that might hurt more than Week 1 because your body's not quite used to it. So I think it might be a blessing in disguise, even though the Buckeyes had to open the season on a Thursday night, and there are some challenges with that. Maybe a blessing in disguise that they get an extra couple of days to get right before a big game against the Oregon Ducks. And kind of wrapping up the Buckeye Report, just a really big weekend in college football, certainly around the Big Ten. The AP poll has been out now for basically 70 years, and there has never been a weekend to open the college football season where there are 5 different games with top 25 teams playing each other. But that is happening in Week 1 of the 2021 season. It's certainly exciting for fans. The big headliner outside of the Big Ten, of course, has major college football playoff implications, and that pins Georgia and Clemson against each other, number 5 against number 3. Those teams will play in Charlotte. It's the big game on ESPN coming up on Saturday night. You've got Alabama and Miami. Could the Hurricanes possibly put together enough of a performance to knock off the defending national champion Alabama Crimson Tide? It would be a heck of an effort, but we'll see if they can figure out a way to put together a good performance down there. Obviously, Clemson and Alabama breaking in their new quarterbacks, DJ Uiagalelei and Bryce Young, making their first performances as starters. We'll see how they come out. Obviously, JT Daniels, the returner in Georgia. And then a couple big games in the Big Ten for sure. Penn State and Wisconsin. Real gut check time for those two programs after substandard 2020 seasons. Which of those two teams is going to come out and get off on the right foot in 2021? There really hasn't been a program that's given Ohio State more trouble consistently the last few years than Penn State. Can they possibly get off to a better start in 2021? Obviously, Wisconsin, a really, really talented team. You know, they've made runs toward the Big Ten championship a couple of times. You know, Wisconsin had a pretty sour taste in their mouths in 2020 after some frustrations with COVID. Wisconsin hosting this game against Penn State, that is a must-watch college football game if you're a Big Ten fan. And maybe the other sneaky good game nationally, but certainly not sneaky for Big Ten football fans, Indiana and Iowa. An Indiana team that very arguably was the second-best team in the league last year. They had a great run but could not beat the Buckeyes, so they couldn't get to Indianapolis for the Big Ten title game. Might Tom Allen's group that has a lot of talent back, including Michael Penix, might they go to Kinnick Stadium and beat an Iowa team that is always tough to play at home? The weather there is supposed to be spectacular. Iowa's got a pretty good back seven defensively. Their secondary and their linebackers definitely their strength this year. Maybe Spencer Petras can take a step forward for the Hawkeyes. I think that could be a really, really entertaining football game and give you another good look at who is going to get off to the right start here this season. Iowa last year lost the first couple. If they don't beat Indiana, then they got to go play Iowa State week 2, and that is a very difficult test with Matt Campbell's team as talented as they are this year. So some great week 1 football action, and I don't want to forget the Sunday night big game either. How about the emotions down in Tallahassee with Notre Dame coming to town, a Notre Dame team that is certainly more talented than Florida State, but that's going to be an emotionally charged game because Florida State is recognizing the late, great Bobby Bowden, and I'm sure that the Seminoles are going to be playing inspired football on Sunday night against the Fighting Irish. So some can't-miss college football this weekend. Looking forward to a fun weekend, and if you're a Buckeye fan, a chance to exhale because you don't have to wait and see how things are going to play out this weekend with the Buckeyes on the field. Already off to a 1-0 start, and that means a chance to go 2-0. Saturday, September 11th, the next time we'll see the Buckeyes, they'll have their home opener against Oregon. We have a boatload of coverage coming for you here on Buckeyes Now. I'm Brendan Gulick from Columbus. We'll see you again real soon. Hope you check out Buckeyes Now, our social media platforms, and our YouTube channel for all the latest.